We're going to move into a fireside chat. Storage is always a debate about cost versus flexibility versus performance. I'm really looking forward to this session as storage is a hot topic. You know, we're into on-prem, off-prem, hybrid, which way to go? Well, spoiler alert, it's all about the turnaround time. So, excuse me a second. We asked Maarten, CEO and founder of Limecraft, to bring in a customer so we can get their point of view. Olivier, you have a production company called Hotel Hungaria and get to work on all sorts of cool stuff, often needing to use bleeding edge technology. So tell us briefly about Hotel Hungaria.
Hello, nice to meet you, Stan. So Hotel Hungaria is a media and marketing company, and important, we have our own in-house post-production facilities. So on a yearly basis, we produce around 150 hours of finished content. So our media projects go from advertisement, online videos, short form video, branded content, documentaries, scripted and non-scripted content. So a few highlights is one of the highlights we just did is Huis Gemaakt, a home renovation show. It's a production time of 7 months with 1,100 hours of footage we had to manage actually for a team of 30 people. And then we also have a daily cooking show called Dagelijkse Kost. It's our 12th season that we are starting next year. And that's 240 episodes that we make per year. To highlight a little bit the fiction series we do, we have Hoodie. It's a series, 165 episodes that's shot over a 2-year period. So we need to keep all that footage alive. It's a 200 shooting days in duocam mode in 6K, 16-bit codec. So that's a lot of footage. It's around 200 terabytes of footage for just that series. And then we're also currently making a documentary about the Belgian wildlife. That's also shot over a period of almost 3 years. It's 500 days of shooting, also with 2 teams, also on the sunny Venice in XOCN. And there we have a total footage of around 300 terabytes that we have to manage over a long period of time. So a lot of challenges that actually require a good server management, a good cost-efficient server system, and then of course a good media asset management for post-production, but also for the production teams that we collaborate with. So that's in a nutshell what we do at Hotel Hungaria at the moment.
Well, you crammed in a lot of episodes in that 2 years of shooting. That's impressive. Maarten, for those of people that are watching that aren't familiar with Limecraft, can you tell us what Limecraft does?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for giving me the floor, Stan. Limecraft, in essence, is a high-end asset management and collaboration solution, specifically geared towards high-volume production operations. It's on the crossroads of cloud, obviously, AI and automation. In a prior life, myself and some of my colleagues were running the research and development department of VRT, where we were responsible for the digitization of the newsroom. It was quite early. So eventually, when we started the company in 2010, with the ambition to become the largest online backbone for audiovisual media production, we just found out we were 5 years too early for asking customers to go cloud native. And it took us until the BBC and France Television came in 2015, and then appreciate Olivier's decision when Hotel Hungaria stepped in 2016. Things started moving a lot faster, and today, Stan, Limecraft is serving the core of the production operations of more than 200 customers worldwide, together presumably servicing more than 10,000 named users and over 300 petabyte of storage, which we believe should not necessarily be in the cloud, but we're perfectly happy that it stays on site, on tape, whatever. We'll manage the collaboration using proxies, as we will talk about in a few minutes.
Yeah, there are a couple of storage polls up here, so certainly answer. It's always good to see what people are thinking about. So let's get right to the point here. Olivia, you decided to go with on-prem. Many are only thinking of cloud. Can you explain your decision?
Well, yeah, we decided to keep everything on-prem because we have constantly a very large volume of data that we need to keep on hand and be flexible with it. We need it very quickly. And it's also because a lot of our workflows are the footage we get from the teams are actually 4K and 6K HDR footage. So putting that all in the cloud, it's way too big data size if you need it fast on-prem. So it's very important to on the server side of things to look at the costs of cloud and on-prem, but also the flexibility. And for us, the flexibility to keep it on-prem is much more important than being able to put our footage in the cloud. So actually what we did with Limecraft is that actually we transformed our local storage to actually a hybrid model. So our local storage is actually available in the cloud for our teams, but it's still local. So actually we are playing our own data center. So we're not putting it in the cloud, we're putting it on-prem, but giving cloud access to our editors and to our production team. So to explain a little bit more, we have actually 4 kinds of storage on-prem. It's actually our Nexus Avid storage, about 150 terabytes for our in-house on-prem editing. We have around 1.2 petabytes of Dell EasyLon, we call it production storage. Then we have 600 terabytes of low-cost storage, so not the most reliable storage, but very much usable for us. And then in the final stage, we have the LTO archiving Ashiware solution. So why do we have 4 kinds of storage? It's actually to be cost efficient. The Nexus, I think everybody knows that that's a pretty expensive kind of storage, but also one of the fastest storage to edit on. So just that's a little bit a cost direction. It costs about 600 euros per terabyte. So that's pretty expensive. And because it's such high level server, high level speeds, it's very good for Avid Resolve and Premiere editing. We need that speed, but we want to keep that storage as small as possible because it's the most expensive one. Then we have actually our Dell EasyLon solution, which is around 150 euros per terabyte on the volume of 1.2 petabytes. And that's actually the location where we store all our original footage. So we never go with our original footage to the Nexus. We always search for optimization, going from original to a different kind of codecs to have a really smooth workflow for the editors on site. And then the low-cost server, which is around 50 euros per terabyte, we call it actually our overflow server when our production server is too full and we don't know yet if we want to permanently delete it from the on-prem. We move certain footage with the collaboration with Limecraft. We move that to our overflow server to keep it alive like 6 more months. And then in the end, we have the LTO archiving system, which is not really archiving because we turn the system around. All the footage that enters the building or enters our servers is copied onto the server, but immediately also put on an LTO tape to make sure that we don't do the archiving in the end, but we backup in the beginning from all the media that arrives at Hotel Hungaria. So, and that's a cost of around 10 euros per terabyte. So the difference between the Nexus 600 euros and the LTO being around 10 euros per terabyte, that's for us the main reason to look on-prem and go down the cycle to keep it at the cost as low as possible and to be secure as possible. It doesn't have to be 10 euros per terabyte is cheap, but we don't look for the cheapest solution, but we look for a chain to go down in cost the longer we need to keep the footage on-prem or in a backup solution. So actually, it's keeping the most expensive servers as small as possible. That's actually the goal that we have in the post-production facilities, to keep the costs down, of course.
It's really cool how you explained each cost for each element. That's a good way, and certainly being having things on site allows you to move things. I really like the way you when the content comes in, you're getting right to LTO as a backup as well. That's kind of good. So anyway, speaking of on-site solutions, Maarten. Doesn't this affect flexibility and accessibility? What are your customers telling you?
Well, I think first of all, Stan, Hotel Hungaria is probably the extreme case of having taken the decision to put everything on site. I appreciate there is other choices that there may be different requirements in terms of volume or in easier exchange between branch offices. But to your question, it not necessarily affects flexibility and accessibility. I'll explain that in a second. More in general, we found out that customers are faced with the question or the challenge. It's like they have to make a binary decision. Shall I go to the cloud or shall I keep it on premise? And what we try to explain them or to advise them, first of all, is that on-prem and in the cloud are not entirely mutually exclusive. There is a whole spectrum of possibilities in between. And apart from that, we advise our customers to make a conscious decision on which bits of the process need to be stored or run on local hardware and which are better in the cloud. Frankly, most of them, especially in the area of multiple petabytes, are probably storing their content on tape or at least local, rather than paying an infrastructure as a cloud vendor 10 or 20 euro per terabyte per month, which is a regular price. But as well, the majority of those will transfer their metadata and their proxies to the cloud to enable online collaboration and to take advantage of the accessibility that we typically associate with a cloud-based application. What we bring to the table as Limecraft is that we keep those versions connected. What happens in the cloud is easily reconnectable, or we can easily relink it with the high-resolution footage on data tape or wherever. So our customers take advantage of online collaboration, but yet they can finish in the highest possible resolution by automating that conform process.
Right. All right. Olivier, just tell me about proxy and rough cuts for your projects.
Well, actually, we create proxies on a few different levels, just to the needs for the productions. So the first proxy we always make when material comes in is actually a proxy that can be used on the Limecraft platform to have production teams being able to review, pre-select, transcribe material or subtitle, tag material, so that they are able to see the footage and to actually help the editors and post-production to get their work done. This is, of course, a very important step in the workflow, because it's like opening up post-production to the complete production, to the complete company. What most of the time is different. Once the material comes in post-production, it's not easy for the rest of the production team to review that material without going to post-production. So afterwards, after we get everything on the platform, we create two kind of proxies for our on-prem Nexus server, and one to put actually proxy servers onto our on-prem servers, but accessible in the cloud. So actually, off-prem editors are able to download the low-quality proxy files to edit. On-prem editors have the high quality files on the Nexus, and they have the same footage available to them, off-prem or on-prem. What's the nice thing about it is that actually those low quality and high quality proxies stay linked with each other. So actually, if an off-prem editor works with a low quality proxies, sends his project to an on-prem editor, he just opens a project and everything is relinked immediately in high quality proxies. So working together from off-prem and on-prem is also a nice thing we created by having two kind of proxies. Limecraft helped us and really plays a big part in this process, because it's the Limecraft Edge software that creates all those proxies, the proxies for their own platform, the proxies for low quality, high quality, and also keeping the connection to the original footage. So afterwards, when we get the project in from the high quality proxies or low quality proxies, we actually, or in Avid or in Resolve, reconform everything, connecting to the original footage that is still located on our production server. So instead of having our 4K and 6K footage being on our Nexus, we keep that on the production server, create all types of proxy files everybody can work in, and then afterwards conforming it in high quality and finishing the product in 4 and 6K. So we never use our most expensive server, the Nexus, with 4K and 6K footage. That always stays on the production server. And the nice thing is everything stays connected and relinkable at all times. So that workflow helps us to minimize the cost again of the most expensive server.
Right. Yeah, that's again, you're really focused on the cost aspect. So I'm going to ask one last question here to Maarten. The landscape of storage is clearly changing constantly. What do you think the future is?
Stan, the one thing we know for sure is that storage requirements will keep on going up. It's like cameras have become that cheap that producers will fill up. Let me put it differently. Our working assumption is that if you buy a piece of storage with a scope of 24 months, your producers will manage to fill it up in 12 months rather than in 24 months. So probably the unit price per gigabyte or per terabyte will drastically go down in the coming 12 to 24 months. My advice in general would be make your homework, look for a proper partner that can help you advising in which storage is most suitable for your particular requirements, and also you should look for an asset management solution that helps you facing the challenge of multi-cloud and migrating from one environment to another environment. That would be our take.
Yeah, good point. If you give people lots of storage, they're going to fill it up for sure. Anyway, thanks to Maarten and Olivier for sharing your thoughts. A great session.